Hi, this is Allison Arngrim, alias Nellie Olson, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
Ed Robertson welcoming you back to TV Confidential, radio talk show about television. Is pleased to welcome Miss Charlotte Stewart, the actress known around the world as Miss Beadle on Little House on the Prairie, and Betty Briggs on Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks will be coming back to television in 2017, if all goes well, while Little House on the Prairie continues to be broadcast in more than 100 countries around the world, including the cable channel INSP, where it is shown twice a day as part of its weekday afternoon lineup. Charlotte Stewart began her career as Disneyland's first walk-around character of Alice in Wonderland, and though she didn't know it at the time, Charlotte would go through the looking glass herself on more than one occasion as she embraced the hippie movement of the 60s and 70s and all that it embodied before bottoming out in the 1980s after falling prey to alcoholism and drug addiction. Charlotte Stewart speaks about this candidly in a book that not only gives you an idea of what it was like to live in and survive the era of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but includes many stories, many great stories about some of the many real-life characters from music, film, and television that were part of the fabric of Charlotte's life. We'll tell you where you can find Charlotte's book in just a second. But first, Charlotte Stewart, welcome to TV Confidential.
Thank you, Ed. Welcome to my home.
I want to begin by saying I like your book on a lot of levels. On a lot of levels. And
name three.
Well, here, okay, no, this is a compliment. Now, a lot of books like these, they tend to be kind of easy breezy. You know, I went through this, I went through this, and you go through them quickly. Your book, there are several points in your book where I had to slow down because.
Good.
Yeah, exactly, because you have to slow down because because what you're talking about is really depthful. It's heavy stuff, but you do it in a way. I guess the best way is it is a very well written book. It does all the things a writer should do in terms of gripping readers' emotions.
Oh, good. Well, that's exactly what I wanted to do, and I didn't want it to be a book of name dropping and crazy antics and stuff. This was my life. I really never intended to write a book. I kind of was encouraged by my co-writer, Andy Dembski, and said that he thought I had some stories to tell and that maybe I could help somebody along the way who maybe has gotten into some kind of difficulty with either drugs or alcohol, and I might have, had some information that they needed. But basically, I just wanted to have a good time. I've had a heck of a life.
You do. You do, and you have.
I've been so lucky. So lucky.
Well, one of my favorite lyrics is a Paul Williams lyric. It's from one of the songs he wrote for Phantom of the Paradise. And it goes, "Some grow wiser, you just grew older." And what I like about your book is that as you walk us through one phase of your life, to the next, you get the sense that you were growing as a person as you went.
Hopefully, I was.
Well, look. I mean, okay, maybe not in the sense where maybe not in the hot dogs and vodka sense, a stretch of your life, but I got the sense that you were growing as a person, and you do what all of us do. You make choices that you hope are the best choices for you at the time, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't work out, but it's what we do in response to those results that really test our mettle and decide whether we grow or not.
You're being very kind. You're being very kind, kind of walking around the issue. But remember that when all of these things were happening to me, I was in my 20s, living and working in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. At the time, I didn't think I was doing anything more than any of my friends were doing. Obviously, looking back on it, I did a lot more.
Yeah.
I had an addictive personality. So, when and somebody else had 2. I had 4. And, it got out of hand at a certain point. But I have to say that, all this time when those things were happening to me, I was working full time. I was doing one TV show after another. If you look at on IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, you can catalog how many shows I was doing at the same time. Plus, I had a clothing store where I was making the clothes. It was a really popular hangout for rock and roll, which has its own influence in one's life, especially a young girl from Yuba City. It was very exciting, and so I think I fared pretty well. But the fact is, and I talk about it in my book, I did get in over my head, and by 1984, I had really screwed up my life, and I wasn't listening to my friends who were trying to tell me that I need to slow down, I need to stop drinking, I need, some help. And all I would do when, my friends said they cared about me was I stopped talking to them until it got to the point where basically I hit rock bottom. I hit rock bottom financially, emotionally, physically. I was very ill, and I finally listened and put myself through treatment, and that was in 1984. So that literally saved my life.
And Charlotte talks about this and a whole lot more in her book, Little House in the Hollywood Hills, Little House in the Hollywood Hills, A Bad Girl's Guide to becoming Miss Beadle, Mary X, and Me. Little House in the Hollywood Hills is available through Amazon.com, CharlotteStewartBook.com, and wherever books are sold online. Okay, you embodied the 70s, you embodied the hippie movement, and maybe you were an addictive personality. I don't know. I don't think you were a bad girl, though. I just think I think you were an adventurous girl.
It did get your attention, though, didn't it?
It did.
I knew a lot of crazy people. My clothing store was in a building in Hollywood that has housed managers for a lot of rock and rollers. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and Jackson Browne, and Joni Mitchell, and there was a lot going on there. So it was really fun, and it was really exciting. And there were times when I did get over my head, but I'm a survivor. I've worked all my life, and thank God I was able to pull myself together in time to do some more wonderful work like Eraserhead and Little House on the Prairie and Twin Peaks and just fun things. I've made a lot of friends, and I'm a survivor. So here I am. I just turned 75, and I'm a newlywed.
To hear the rest of this conversation, please visit our archives page at podcast.tvconfidential.net.